Welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the four card of fights for UFC Fight Night, Grasso versus Araujo. So without further ado, let's get to our first fight on the card. So in our first fight, we have in the welterweight division, Mike Jackson versus Pete Rodriguez. And with this one, I really don't know for sure. I mean, I'm going to lean to Rodriguez, or just I can't really lean to Mike Jackson, but this is definitely a fight that I don't know why so many people are putting that money on like Rodriguez, like he's a lock pick or Jackson so bad. I mean, they both are pretty low down there, so they still should be having, about it lines up. Jackson should in all likelihood lose, but it's definitely it's no cause to put all that money on Rodriguez like people are doing on Rodriguez. It's not the safest thing, and the value is definitely not there for that. Y'all expect a guarantee lock, but that's not what you're getting. You're just getting two guys that are on the lower end. That's it. That's literally all you're getting. And so no need for that much investment in something that's not really worth that investment. Is all I'm trying to say. Really just a fight to avoid, I guess. If he wins, he wins. Y'all happy with y'all happy with, but if he loses, it's another case of people just again putting all his money on somebody that don't deserve money. Just like the last fight where Jackson got away with because he got away with a DQ win over his opponent or something. And yeah, the value's not there on either. I mean, it is on Jackson. Like it's a 50-50. Not gonna say 50-50 fight. It's a fight with definitely opportunities for Jackson to win, whether it be by DQ or just both of them not being that good. But I'm just gonna go with Rodriguez here. I just feel like Jackson can't take the most damage or doesn't take damage the best. I feel like Rodriguez brings it very intense, packs a good bit of power, and I don't think Jackson will be too hard to hit. I see him get him out of there in the first round. But again, this isn't a fight that I can say, oh, I'm so super confident. Really a fight that's like, I would rather not predict it, but hey, it's on the card, so I see it. I'm gonna have to predict it and get it out the way with. So I just feel like Pete Rodriguez, like again, gonna press him and get him out there in the first round. So in this one, I got Pete Rodriguez via first round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the flyweight division, CJ Vegara versus Tatsuro Taira. And how I see this one right here is, I think Tatsuro Taira is the better talent, the better overall skillful fighter in every single department of this fight, especially the grappling. But Vegara's a dog. The Vegara's gonna come out there. He's not gonna care too much about that. He's not gonna say, "Oh, you're young and you're this and you're that. You're this promising talent. You're got great jiu-jitsu and good head on your shoulders." He's like, "I'm gonna knock that good head off your shoulders." Like he don't care. CJ Vegara gonna come in there and he just feel just as confident about himself. So CJ Vegara's a guy that's not gonna stand in line for some status quo. He gonna go out there and he gonna bang. But ultimately, I just feel like CJ Vegara really looking to the fight even further. I really could see submission, but I'm gonna stick on my decision as far as prediction wise. But betting wise, submission definitely looking juicy right now. So I'm definitely gonna get in on the submission prop for Taira there. But yeah, how to see this one? I feel like Taira Taira should be able to have a good edge in the grappling. I see Vegara gives up his back a lot, even in some of his recent fights. You could still see him having tendency to give his back up, and it shows some technical deficiencies on the ground. And I feel like Taira is very good at taking the back and very good at putting people away once he got their back. And Vegara just don't have the same skills and same experience in that area. And I clearly has some clear evident flaws that have been exploited in the past, and I think Taira can exploit them as well. So I think Taira, as far as on the feet, I don't think Taira's going, like Clinton Rodriguez did. I feel Rodriguez was a little bit too committed to, I'm not committed, but he was biting too much of Vegara's pressure and it was trying to give him pressure, he's trying to give him some sting back. I feel like Taira is more composed and like he picks the shots well and he's not going to be so worried about Vegara's constant pressure. If anything, he's going to use that pressure against Vegara to set up takedowns, on the ground, like look to dissect him and control him on the ground and just dominate him in the grappling department. I see Taira picking his shots well on the feet and then setting up his takedown scoring and then controlling Vegara on the ground through a decision. So in this one, I got Tatsuro Taira via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the the women's strawweight division, Piera Rodriguez versus Sam Hughes. And how I see this one right here is Sam Hughes is on a pretty good streak right now for herself. Like was first looking like probably one of the worst women in the division. As a matter of fact, I said she's the worst woman in the division at one point, and then she went out. And then she went on this 2-fight win streak and proved me big wrong. And could likely prove me big wrong here again. Is I'm picking Piera Rodriguez here, but I feel like Rodriguez. I definitely saw some takedown issues, not some issues, but I definitely see that she can be taken down, she can be controlled for a good period of time, and that opens up a lot of opportunities for Sam Hughes. So this is definitely not no, oh my gosh, this fight is clearly a clear pick. It's good case for both women in this one, but I'm gonna go with Pierre Rodriguez here. I feel like the takedowns are definitely there. I feel like Sam Hughes could get the takedowns. I feel like Sam Hughes could get control, but I feel like Pierre Rodriguez has showed the ability to get up for those takedowns, the ability to get her own takedowns. The fact that she has shown to be a very strong, very physical woman, I feel like she has shown to be the more well-rounded fighter. So I definitely see Sam Hughes getting some takedowns, doing well. But ultimately, I feel like Pierre Rodriguez is going to start to stuff the takedowns, pressure, land hard shots, get her own takedowns as well. And I just see a very tight matchup here. But I think Pierre Rodriguez is going to be the slightly more well-rounded fighter, probably the stronger fighter, the physically stronger fighter, and just make this a dogfight and just simply outwork Sam Hughes down the stretch. Like early on, Sam Hughes probably looked good, but Pierre Rodriguez started to step those takedowns, start to hurt her, and start to, impose her will and her physicality upon Sam Hughes and edge her on the decision. So in this one, I got Pierre Rodriguez via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the featherweight division, Joe Anderson Brito versus Lucas Alexander. And how I see this one right here is I just think Lucas Alexander is beyond his depth. And I think Brito is just gonna impose his will upon him as he does other opponents and stuff. Just go out there, let it all loose, pressure heavy, unload, then look the level change, drag him to the mat, and just maul him, and then get that first round submission. I think Lucas Alexander is an okay enough fighter, but I think the experience isn't there, the opposition isn't there, and now he's getting this little short notice jump opportunity, and like never really been full competition to this close to this level, and now getting a big jump up, and also definitely saw vulnerability in his grappling department. I feel like Brito could expose that, like, well, what's that, expose or exploit that. He could exploit that, like, expose and exploit. I don't think there's really nothing to expose, is already exposed, but he can exploit what has already been exposed in Alexander's grappling department. Like, aggressive style, aggressive takedown, aggressive ground and pound, and then the submission opens up with the ground and pound and then taps him out first round. So in this one, I got Joe Anderson Brito via first round submission. Now to our next fight, we have in the middleweight division, Nick Maximov versus Jacob Malkoun. And how I see this one right here in the middleweight division is, I think this is a very, very tight matchup. Definitely a big coin flip right here. But ultimately, I had to go with Maximov here against Malkoun. I feel like Malkoun has shown to be the more well-rounded fighter, or at least has shown the more facets to his game, whereas Maximov definitely he just wants to get to the ground. Like, he don't want to strike very much at all, whereas Malkoun, we have seen him let his hands loose, like outside the UFC, in the UFC. Not that to the biggest degree. Like, he's not a guy that's like really so comfortable in the feet or so, that's like not that much of his game, or preferably not. That's not the most of his game. That's very limited. But that you can say for both guys. But at least with Malkoun, we have seen it and it had looked better than what we have seen from Maximov on the feet. Is the point I'm trying to make. But ultimately, in this battle, I got to go with Nick Maximov here because I feel we have seen him more so against wrestlers. We have seen Malkoun against some grapplers and maybe one wrestler guy, but a wrestling guy that technically wasn't the most technical wrestler. A little bit of wrestling background in Dobson, but as you clearly see, the technique ain't really all that sharp from Dobson as far as wrestling. Like, it ain't that sharp, or has not shown to be that sharp just yet. He hasn't probably fleshed it over enough from wrestling to MMA. Like, it's a big thing there. Like, you can be a okay, decent enough wrestler or have decent enough wrestling experience, but don't mean it's gonna translate over that well. That's all I'm trying to say. I feel like Malkoun hasn't fought that. Whereas we have seen Maximov go into a couple good wrestlers, well, not good wrestlers, but okay enough wrestlers, and Punali Soriano, like decent wrestling background, be able to really dominate them in the grappling department and get like several takedowns against actual wrestlers. Where Malkoun, I can't say he really fought that decent of a wrestler yet, or that proven of a competition yet in also wrestling. Like, I mean, obviously fought Brendan Allen, but I feel like Brendan Allen, I wouldn't really rate his wrestling all that great is it right now. But nonetheless, I just feel like we have seen Maximov be able to go longer with his wrestling, has shown better cardio, and has fought more actual wrestlers, and has done the same thing he has done against to them. I mean, to other opponents to them as well. So I feel like Maximov has more experience in that department, and that will be enough for him to prevail and be able to edge a very close wrestling grappling matchup with a bit of striking involved. So in this one, I got Nick Maximov via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the bantamweight division, Rafael Assuncao versus Victor Henry. And how I see this one right here is both guys are not the youngest fighting. Henry like 35, so it ain't like he 25. He's 35 or something like that. And Assuncao is 40 plus, I think, at this point. But don't quote me on that. But I know he's up there in age, so he's really at his expiration date, especially with all that losses he's taking and damage he's taking, getting stopped like he's getting stopped. And I think Victor Henry is fresher, like he's getting his taste for the UFC. He's not a guy that's been in UFC for all the years and been a journeyman in the UFC for all the years. He's man like that's still no, he's finally getting his big opportunity, and he's fresh enough. You know, he got a lot of experience and been around a long time as well. But it really just comes down to like he is younger, even though they both have been age, he's still younger by a good clip, probably like 5-6 years, which is significant, especially since Assuncao is older and he has been taking damage and he has been losing and he's been getting stopped. All those different things right there. And Victor Henry's coming in fresher, hungrier, and riding better momentum. I just think Assuncao has never been able to take the damage that well. Victor Henry got some sting on his punches. He ain't really the big he ain't really the biggest finisher himself. But Assuncao has not been able to ever take really like a volley of damage. He's good at playing a point fighting game and stuff, and where he's not getting hit too much. It's limited output, but the moment he started getting touched, he has never historically been a guy, even in his prime, that takes damage the best. So I think Henry is a guy that's going to bring that activity to him, be more active, land stinging shots. So that's the only thing Assuncao is going to be able to, endure all that volume, all that damage, all that pressure, especially in the current state that he is in. I think Henry just eventually just wears him down and will just chews him up and spits him out second round. So I think this thing he's going to be unloading on him and never giving Assuncao that breather, just constant pace, constant pressure, constant output, and just eventually puts Assuncao out in the second round. So in this one, I got Victor Henry via second round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the bantamweight division, Martinez versus Brandon Davis. And how I see this one right here is, Brandon Davis does have a grappling edge. He definitely has a grappling edge. Striking edge, go to Martinez, speed edge, momentum. I said momentum. Momentum goes to Martinez. Momentum and power, timing, all that goes to Martinez. As far as the grappling advantage of Brandon Davis, I think his grappling probably looked good about 2 fights. And really, in hindsight, you can't really even rate those ones that much nowadays because Giga Chikadze has evolved a lot since then. Not to say that Giga Chikadze is in the best spot is it right now. He's still trying to rebound. He lost to Calvin Kattar. I don't think he's fought since. So, but nonetheless, post Brandon Davis fight, Giga Chikadze would have no issues with Brandon Davis grappling at all. And then I think who else he had success with? Something called Randy Costa, who hasn't really been measuring up. He has a little sparks and stuff, but Randy Costa, for the most part, hasn't really measured up at all in the UFC and just lost like probably the oldest guy on the roster at bantamweight. So, yeah, the people his grappling look good against has really been not that many people. And I don't think Martinez's issue is necessarily wrestling or grappling. Yes, you can say, oh, this fight made it look like that, but Brandon Davis, on the other side, his wrestling statistically had looked worse. I see that man get taken down like 20 times by Barzola. Not to say that Barzola's a bad wrestler, but no one in the UFC, you're supposed to be a decent enough grappler, this and that. No one should be taken down as many times he got taken down in some of these fights. So, if anything, his takedown offensive one is more questionable. But yeah, I just feel like Manny Martinez is not going to have too much issue defending Brandon Davis' takedowns or ain't going to be too concerned about his grappling. Then on the feet, I just feel like Brandon Davis going to get caught and get touched up on the feet, not be able to deal with the speed of Martinez, be walking to a lot of counters by Martinez's check hooks. And I don't think his chin's going to wear it the best. I just feel like Martinez just able to draw out his reactions, counter them, and put him out in the first round without really much concern. So in this one, I got Manny Martinez via first round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in our first fight on the main card in the light heavyweight division, Misha Cirkunov versus Alonzo Menifield. And how feel about this one right here between Cirkunov versus Menifield is, I think Misha Cirkunov is on a bad streak of losses right now. Dropped the middleweight, try to find a different path to a title fight or something, or different, find a new career, a new spin, a new avenue. Yeah, that's what it is. He tried to find a new avenue, but that avenue led to a dead end. Now he's returning back to light heavyweight and going to with Alonzo Menifield, who's only continue getting better. Like Menifield, despite age or whatever the case may be, the man's like still a very much a young kid as far as his game in MMA. Like he's still getting better, still learning as he goes in every single fight. So, and I feel like right now his jiu-jitsu looking better, his wrestling looking better, his fight IQ's improving. And you can kind of try to put some stuff against him, like, oh, this fight happened, but man's still learning. You gotta kind of look at his evolution. Like you can't just say, oh, this is who he is. He's going to get better. He's going to learn and make those adjustments, and he is making those adjustments. Whereas, and then like, let me get to the point of it. I'm dragging it. Menifield has, for the most part, for what I've seen, always had pretty solid takedown defense. Has very strong hips, so I feel like he could stuff Cirkunov's grappling, like strength wise. He can out muscle Cirkunov. Like I said, for the most part, I'm trying to say he could keep us on the feet. Then Richard Cirkunov is a guy, as I said in previous videos and previous predictions, a guy that, as far as striking goes, his striking just a means to the end to set up his grappling. And I feel like Menifield ain't gonna be, he ain't gonna be too worried about it because he ain't gonna respect his hands too much. He's gonna respect enough, but he ain't gonna be worried about his hands. So like, he wouldn't let those hands go on the feet, and will be more than prepared to stop, take down the Cirkunov and keep him on the feet, and just find him pretty easy on the feet. I feel like Cirkunov, like striking, offense and defense, especially defensively, is pretty negligent. Like Menifield should be able to crack him some big shots and stuff those takedowns and just put him out first round. So in this one, I got Alonzo Menifield via first round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the middleweight division, Dusko Todorovic versus Jordan Wright. Now I feel about how I feel about this one between Dusko Todorovic and Jordan Wright is, you got chin up Jordan Wright versus chin out Todorovic. Two guys that don't know where to put their chin at. So this fight is definitely up for grabs, but I gotta go with Dusko Todorovic via advanced MMA math here. I just think Todorovic, who's losses to Gregory Rodriguez, who's doing pretty well for himself in the division right now. Chidi Njokuani, who's doing pretty well himself, just lost to Gregory Rodriguez. How funny is that? And you got Jordan Wright, who lost to Chidi Njokuani, who lost to Gregory Rodriguez. So advanced MMA math, Dusko Todorovic has been losing to the better competition. But that's not really all that's there. I feel like Todorovic has shown to be a more all-around threat and has, for better opposition, fared better against better opposition, I think. I actually think that he has a clear wrestling grappling edge in this one. But again, this is a very much a coin flip fight, but I think Todorovic should be able to press Jordan Wright, be aggressive, maybe look some takedowns, and really just get a Jordan Wright uncomfortable. And that chin raises up even more. It's really just extend him and probably knock him out like second round. I just feel like just press Jordan Wright, look for takedowns, crowd of space, and just make him uncomfortable. And I think Jordan Wright striking defense, like a lot of these karate guys, I just say the same exact thing every single time I predict a Jordan Wright fight. He's not Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. He's not MVP. He's not Raymond Daniels. He is Jordan Wright, and he's not as smooth as those guys. And it's easy to corner him, but he has the same defensive flaws, but none of the defense. He has all the defensive flaws of a karate style fighter, but none of the strengths really. Like he don't as fast, not as explosive, he's not as in and out, and he's very easy to corner. And you just corner him, and his hand just froze at his hip like he glitching, and that chin's up in the air. And I feel like again, Todorovic is probably gonna be able to just make him work, make him uncomfortable, apply the pressure, and then as the fight goes on, whether he's getting a takedown or not, just constantly applying the pressure and crowding Jordan Wright's space. He's able to find his chin, probably hurt him, drag the mat, and then just maul him and ground and pound him out in that second round. So in this one, I got Dusko Todorovic via second round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in our co-main event in the bantamweight division, Jonathan Martinez versus Cub Swanson. Now I see the one, I said how I see this one, how I feel this one, or how I see and how I feel about this one is I'm going Jonathan Martinez here. I feel like Cub Swanson's a very slick fighter, and he's coming off a very good performance over another old guy in Darren Elkins at 45. and then he decided to drop to 135. So it's kind of odd. Like I don't know what he thinks. I think either way, he could even come in just as good as he had 45. I don't think he's gonna become a bantamweight champion. And at 45, he clearly knows he wasn't gonna become a champion or really contend for a title. So I don't really see the purpose. But I feel like he could have kept fighting, some fights, maybe even for some other old guys, and in whether it be at 55 or 45, or even I don't know, try to vouch for a 55 title shot because he beat Charles Oliveira in the past. I don't know. But either way, I just don't feel like a traditional route or just trying to go for title is the best route for him. But what do I know? This man been doing this his whole life, and he gonna go about it however he wants to go about it, no matter what nobody thinks. But I gotta go Martinez here. I feel like the weight cut's gonna affect him. I feel like the age is gonna affect him, and like I just don't think it's the best move. Like I feel like going up at 50, 55, like 55, he could still been a matter of fact probably one of the fastest guys in the division at 55, one of the most technical guys at 55. But that's would have been very undersized in this era of 55. But I don't know. All I'm trying to say is I just don't feel like the 35 move is the best for him at this age, and it's probably going to leave him susceptible to getting stopped. Now, I do think he gets stopped. I feel like he's still going to be very slick and all, but that cut's going to take away from his body, and I think it's going to play in him getting stopped. His speed is definitely one of his advantages and his slickness, but come to 35, those 35 is going to be able to see him, read him better, and he's going to also be slower. He's going to be slower naturally from draining himself. And then he dropped a weight class at 35, where these guys are used to dealing with fast guys, these faster, smaller guys all the time, and they are faster, smaller guys. So he's gonna lose one of his advantages in the speed. Now he's taking away durability. Especially gonna be weak to the body. I think Martinez is gonna do a good job to chew up his legs and disrupt his boxing. Probably also slip some knees in there when he tried to overhands. Probably try to sneak some little body shots underneath his elbow, and just start to sharpshoot cuff Swanson from a distance and take away his legs and chop him down. I think Cuff Swanson is going to be out there limping and getting his leg and body chewed up. Eventually, I just feel like Martinez able to land us, stick a real good body shot in. I mean, real good body kick in there, right underneath the elbow. I think he takes his leg away from him. Cuff Swanson curls up, and Martinez just piles the punches on him and gets that second round TKO. So in this one, I got Jonathan Martinez via second round TKO. Now to our main event, we have in the women's flyweight division, Alexa Grasso versus Viviane Araujo. And how I feel about this one right here is I was on the fence, then I leaned Grasso, then I was about to lean back. I was lean Grasso, then I was about to lean Araujo. Now all that says is this fight is very much up for grabs for whoever wants it. But ultimately, I said I don't know if I'm gonna change my pick or not. But ultimately, I have chosen to stick with my pick, and that's Grasso by decision. As far as this one right here, I feel like Viviane Araujo definitely has a good chance to try to take her down and control her. And it's not like a Grasso's pace has proven to be so crazy. So this is very much up for grabs. If Grasso was like this woman that do like 100 punches every single round, like, yeah, this set in stone. Or Araujo was this D1 wrestler or something, or BJJ world champion, or something like that, like maybe be a lock in her favor. So it's like they both have shades of what beats each other, but they don't have the full picture, and that leaves leave them fighting to prove that picture. So yeah. Nonetheless, I feel like Viviane Araujo is gonna come out there, have decent success early with the takedowns and the control. But I think Alexa Grasso over time is gonna start to be able to get a read for her, defend the takedowns better. And even the first round, I think it's gonna be like so easy to just take her down and lay on for a whole round. But I do think she'll have more success with the takedowns. She'll have more pop in her punch a little bit early. But I think Grasso will be more consistent and will be able to pile the punches up, be light on her toes, and start to cut angles and defend takedowns better. And it's like start to outland Araujo down the stretch. But very, very tight matchup. But I think as the rounds go on, they only will favor Grasso more. If she's like I said, the fight starts to settle down more. Grasso starts to get a better read for the takedowns, and she starts to feel more comfortable let her hands go. And it just turned really a fight to a volume, really. And I feel like Grasso can beat her in that game. And just simply outwork her down the stretch. So address the early rounds, and then down that stretch, this comes down to who wants it more and who could fight at a higher pace. And Grasso is like what, sub 30, and Araujo surprisingly like 35. Not to say that's old or anything like that. I think she's right nearly in her prime, but yeah, I think youth will play a factor, and Grasso's style will play a factor, and she will be more willing to unload and put up the volume that Araujo might not be able to match, or she won't be able to match. But very, very close fight, with Grasso winning by a very slim margin based on output and work rate down the stretch. So in this one, I have Alexa Grasso via decision. And that concludes my fight predictions for the 4 card of fights for UFC Fight Night, Grasso versus Araujo. And as always, thanks for watching.